Hello and welcome to Talking Really. Today we're going to talk about losing a job because of disabilities. Now clearly there is an issue with this because of the law that says they cannot discriminate. However, if you have a job, you can lose it very easily by becoming disabled and having time off. And nowadays they can just dump you as fast as they can without any recourse, providing, of course, you've done the minimum time allowed. Otherwise, they have to give you time off. But they will generally only give you a certain amount of time. In my jobs, I've had time off to recover from a broken leg. I had 6 months off, and basically, I was told that if I didn't come back, then they would have to get rid of me. I had to go back early because I needed a job. The job was a good job, good money, and of course I went back, and I probably could have done with another month or two off, but they weren't going to pay me, and there was a risk of the job being taken away. Now the other job that I had problems with was when I had my back surgery. I'd only been there. Well, allegedly, I'd been there less than 2 years, which obviously was a lie, because I was actually there for longer than that. I set up the class in a sports centre, and when I had my back surgery, it was planned. I told them I would be off for at least 3 months minimum. Well, that's what I thought, until of course I went off, and I found out it was going to be longer because they'd done it wrong. So, of course, I was a bit depressed and everything else, and they kept on asking me, when are you coming back? And I said, well, I don't know when I'm coming back because of my back surgery going wrong. Anyway, I had a letter in the post saying that because of the time that I'd been there, less than 2 years, I had no rights, and they were going to get rid of me, and they wanted to cover the class, so they were already covering the class, mind you, but they were going to give him the job permanently. So basically I lost my job there as a Tai Chi instructor. At the time I was self-employed, so it didn't really make much difference. It wasn't a job that I was relying on for income. However, it was just the principle of the matter that I set up the class. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have had a class there in the first place. And I don't even know if it's still going now, but I think it's probably folded by now. Anyway, the point of today was to talk about the graduate that was turned down for at least 500 jobs because she was in a wheelchair. So this lady, Lucy Thorpe, who is 24, from Derbyshire, has been to more than 100 interviews and applied for more than 500 jobs. And she's obviously got the idea that this is because she's in a wheelchair. So this article was in the Mirror, another rag, which you believe it or not, if you wish. This article came out on the 12th of June. So the story is that she's a criminology graduate, a university graduate. It's been turned down for more than 500 jobs since she left university. She believes the only reason she isn't being given jobs she's more than qualified for is because she uses a wheelchair. It's a very hard thing to judge because you can't prove it. However, she was asked in one interview why she didn't just stay on benefits. Lucy suffers from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which means her joints are very loose and prone to dislocation. The constant rejection from potential employers has left her battling anxiety as she struggles to survive on just £600 a month. Now, obviously, I can testify to the idea that when you're qualified for a job, because one of my first jobs I wanted was this job as a programmer, a computer programmer, and basically I went for the interview. It was me and another guy. In the final interview, he was a lot younger than me, probably 17, 18 years old, and I was mid to late 20s. and I didn't get the job. And obviously I had no experience of programming except for being self-taught. So this guy also had very little experience in programming. However, he got the job, and I was really devastated because I really wanted that job. It was a good programming job. However, good news was I got another job. That was good news. But in the meantime, whilst I was looking for that job, the really good job, I went to the job centre and I said to them, "Look, I want to do some training course. I want to do the what you can do on benefit. You can actually go into an employer and you can work for them as a trial." So I said, "Look, there's this employer. I've just been for the job. I want to go and work for them." So they arranged it for me to go and work for the same place that I'd had my interview and failed. Anyway, it's quite embarrassing, really, but they were okay about it. And the first task was to learn how to program. So we were dumped with some books and manuals and a computer and told have a play with it. So we did. And we had to play with it. And in the end, I had to teach the other guy how to do it because he had no idea. Me being self-taught and self-programming, Spectrum, for example, I taught myself how to program in BASIC and machine code, so I had some experience with that. And it was difficult. It was difficult to learn. It's a 4GL language, so it's quite annoying. But however, the point of the matter was that I had to teach this guy under the table sort of thing. I wasn't officially there to teach him, but he asked me for some help, and I helped him. Anyway, I got the other job, and I told them, I said, I'm leaving after, it was about 3 months, I think, that I'd been working there. I said, sorry, but I'm leaving. I got a real job with real money, and thank you for the opportunity, but I'm off. Anyway, a few weeks later, I have a knock on my door, and it's the boss from the job. And he comes around and he says, look, I'm really sorry to bother you, but are you interested in coming back and working for us full-time wage? And I went, up yours. Very politely, of course, but that was my response. Basically, I was over the moon that they offered me it, but the other job was really, really good. And I stayed there for 5 years. And it was a really, really interesting job, and I learned a lot. However, if I'd have done that job for the other job, really, I'd have been bored after a week because 4GL language, really, really boring to learn and use and program. Anyway, my response was, you didn't want me the first time round, so why am I going to come back and work for you now you're desperate? You know, really, you didn't give me a chance to prove myself. It's your fault. I didn't say all that, but I was thinking it. So I can appreciate how she feels. So she says that she heard back from about 50% and she had about 100 interviews. But it was the second that they saw the chair, or I declared that I had a disability, that they would say, oh, we found a better candidate. Which is a lie. I've not really had much problem with applying for jobs and getting interviews because I sometimes declare it as part of the job, because some of the jobs that I applied for have been working with disabled people, for example. So obviously having a disability yourself makes you the ideal candidate. So that's where I've been lucky enough to get some interviews. Now, there were on occasions that the employer said in a subtle way, we're not hiring you because you've got a disability. I'm not stupid. I can read between the lines. Exactly my point with the job that I applied for. I think that partly it was because I had a disability. Even though it was probably to do with lack of experience, they weren't willing to take the risk. At one interview, she said that she had to transfer herself onto a foot-high step and then lift her wheelchair onto it just to climb back in, just to get into the building. So obviously that's not a very good job. Now, obviously, you know that discrimination on the grounds of disability is illegal under the 2010 Equality Act. Now, she's adamant that she was rejected because of that, based on disability. Now, on some occasions, the employer would take one look at me and I could see their face drop. I was at once asked by an employer why I had applied for the job and why I didn't just stay on benefits because they didn't think I had the capability to do the job. She actually got a 2-1 in criminology and criminal justice from Bangor University in Wales. She doesn't declare her disability in applications unless absolutely necessary and has been invited to attend more than 100 interviews. Last May, Lucy thought she had finally secured her place on the career ladder when she got a job as an academic writer, but she was made redundant in January on the same day that she had inquired about her firm moving to a more accessible location. Coincidence? Maybe. She said that the office was up a flight of stairs and there was no lift, so she had to drag herself up the stairs, and she got to the point where she actually pulled part of the banister off the wall. I asked the boss, the owner of the company, if we could move to a ground floor office in the building that had become vacant, and it was on that very same day that he said, "It's not possible because we're going to have to let you go." She received $600 a month in personal independent payment and universal credit, which also pays her rent, but she admits having the extra money would be useful. My story is one in the millions. I'm not the only one. You're not the only one. And it is the attitude of lots of able people, that disabled people have nothing to offer and that they are drain on society and that they are scroungers and benefit scum that really don't even warrant scratching you off the bottom of their soles of their shoes. A survey of HR professionals revealed more than half of 515 people questioned said that they believed it would be easier to recruit a non-disabled person. A third admitted that they had never interviewed a disabled person. So maybe some training there is required. And by the way, if you're watching this, I run a training company, so you can employ me to come and do some training for you. So there we go. We're not saying that you have to go out to work, but if you want to, then keep trying, because it is possible. Just have your expectations set to a realistic level, and remember, able-bodied people are the ones that are going to be probably employing you. Right, catch you again. Bye for now.